the plenary one. Delegates who are still outside, I request you to please come in and be seated. All the delegates are requested to please come in and be seated. It's the time for plenary one, and we are going to have a really good session where it is highlighting setting the agenda, sustainability education for green jobs. So yes, because it's plenary one, so we have to set the agenda for the thing. So I request the delegates, please come in and be seated. As soon as we are joined by all the speakers, we'll be starting with the plenary one. So once again, good morning to all of you. It is still time for the noon. So I'm Shilpa Bhavna, welcoming you again in this 7th International Conference on Sustainability Education. Now we are here for the plenary one, and here, as I already highlighted, that we are going to set the agenda for sustainability education for green jobs. Since this is the theme of this international conference, so this is going to be really interesting. Let me please invite over here on the dais the esteemed panelist and the chair and moderator of the session. Firstly, I would like to invite the esteemed panelist over here, Ms. Judy Browse, Executive Director, Global Environment Education Program, USA. She'll be joining us online. So I hope our technical team is connecting with her. Professor Prithvi Yadav, Vice President and Vice Chancellor of Sarpadampad Sanghania University, Udaipur, Rajasthan. I request you, sir, to please come on the dais. May we please welcome him with your round of claps, my dear friends. I request Mr. Sunil Jain, Chairman, Skill Council for Green Jobs, MSDE India, to please join us on the stage for the session. Mr. Alan Egbert, CEO, World Class Learning Systems, Dubai, is also requested to please join us on the stage. आप लोगों की तालियों में कमी नहीं आनी चाहिए. Let's give them a warm welcome. Dr. Joseph Spenza, Higher Education Leader and Keynote Speaker, Italy. I request you, sir, to please come on the stage for the session. These are the eminent panelists. And this session is going to be chaired and moderated by the advisor of Mobius Foundation, Dr. Ram Bhuj. So just welcome him with your round of claps, my dear friends. So since in this session we are going to set the agenda for the theme of this international conference, so let me please hand over this mic to the chair and moderator of this session, Dr. Ram Bhuj, and he will take over this session with the eminent panelists over here, and we hope we all are going to have really good session. So over to you, Dr. Ram Bhuj. Let's have a round of applause for this plenary one.
Thank you, Bhavana, and again a very warm welcome to all of you. We had a very good inaugural session. I think that has already set the tone. So, and as well as the agenda. This session was to be chaired and moderated by Mr. Kartikeya Sarabhai, Founder Director of Center for Environment Education, great environment educator of the country. He has so many accolades to his credit. Unfortunately, he is not well, so he has sent his best wishes. He was hospitalized, has come out of this was the first time that he has fallen sick, and he has been throughout this ICSE. It was his vision, his support, his guidance. He was also leading the chairing that technical advisory body of the ICSE. So really we very much miss him, but he rather directed me to that you have set the whole agenda, so you take the charge. I cannot put myself into his shoes, but I will try my best to do the justice with this session. We have very eminent panelists, as you can see, and I need not go in detail, but in order to set the context, I would just like to share a few words particularly about the theme, that is sustainability education for green jobs. We have all been hearing about sustainability education and green jobs. All these have become buzzwords. Yesterday, I will begin with the context of celebrated World Ozone Day, 16th September. And ozone protocol is considered to be one of the most successful UN convention, because climate change, you know, COP and COP after COP, very little progress. Similarly with the biodiversity convention, but ozone convention has been able to some extent solve the problem of ozone layer depletion with the resolve and commitment of most of the countries of the world. It has recovered now, ozone layer, but shift from chlorofluorocarbons to hydrochlorocarbons has resulted in another issue, because hydrochlorofluorocarbons, they emit carbon dioxide, and which is hundreds of times more potent than carbon dioxide. So we have, and with the global warming, it's a vicious circle. With the global warming, we are having more cooling equipments in homes, in offices, everywhere. So world is rising to this new crisis. And this is a challenge, and lot of course, in this sector, lot of jobs has come over, and every country has cooling plans. But the consent of the UN, that's the planet cooling plans, and by 2037 to reduce this CO2 emissions from the cooling processes by 25 to 30%. So these are some of the, similarly of course for the carbon global commitment is there, and this whole scenario of green jobs has emerged because of demand. Environmental crisis has, the challenges has offered so many opportunities, and so many disciplines, they are geared towards this. Actually, the International Labour Organization's data says that there will be 24 million new jobs by 2030. And added to that, 6 million more jobs will come through circular economy. We had a session on that as well. LinkedIn's, you all know, it's a professional website for jobs. They have a separate portal for green jobs. And their global green skills report, the latest report, says that by 2030, 1 in 5 jobs is projected to face a green talent shortage. There will be shortage of green talent. By 2030, 5 jobs, 1 in 5 jobs, and this gap will balloon to 1 in 2 jobs by 2050. And of course, those with green skills, they have hiring advantage. Job seekers with green skills are hired 54.6% more frequently than the general workforce. And this is much more, like in US it is close to 84%, and in Ireland and many other Western countries it's close to 80%. So there is huge demand as well as gap in green job sector. India's scenario is slightly different. Our education policy doesn't talk about green. There is another question of terminology. There was an article in Economist about raising the bar in green skilling, and that says whole education policy doesn't mention green jobs, rather it's vocational trainings, professional qualifications and all those terminologies, but hardly there is mention about sustainability, about environment, and National Curriculum Framework also talks about it. But Viksit Bharat 2047 vision, that says about that 35 million green jobs will be needed by the time the nation celebrates its 100th year of independence. So there are estimates by Niti Aayog, by this Skills Council, Chairman Mr. Sunil Jain is with us, and there are going to be a lot of job disruptions as in every field with the new technologies, with AI, and of course there was a UNESCO event where there were a lot of speakers organized by our partner Jahi Science Foundation about the quantum technology, which is qubit is going to be 150 million times more faster, and it's much more ubiquitous than what we call as artificial intelligence. So a lot of job disruptions are going to happen. Considering education, Sustainable Development Goal 4.7 talks about sustainability, and it's a very much more comprehensive base. Then decent job is about this SDG 8, and there has been substantial progress in these areas as per the UN estimates, but substantial progress needs to be made during coming these 5 years. So how the question with this panel, esteemed panel, is uh, how this green job and skilling landscape, both in Indian context, global context, the whole landscape, how it is at present, how it's going to be changed, and what are the imperatives. In Indian context, we all know that there are a lot of innovations happening, the grassroots innovations that we call as Jugaad, which is going to be like India. Maybe in innovation landscape, we are far behind than China and other Western countries, but in grassroots innovations, we are far ahead with many countries. Similarly, the creative economy, it's creating a lot of green jobs. So in brief, these are some of the areas where we all have to focus. And with these words, I would now throw open the discussion with the honored this panel, and I think we have very little time. There will be 2 or 3 rounds of questions from each one of you, and but before that, there is a special message by Judy Bross, the Executive Director of Global Environment Education Program, US, and she has been into this field for almost 3 decades. A very eminent environment educator, green crusader, as well as sustainability leader. So over to you, Bhavna.
Thank you so much, sir. As sir has already mentioned that we are joined by Ms. Judy Browse virtually, online she is here with us. She is the Executive Director of North American Association for Environmental Education and Global Environment Education Program USA. So it would be good that we'll go ahead with her address. So may we please have her online over here on the screen for her address. Ms. Judy Browse, is she connected online right now with us? There is a video with you? Okay, so we can go ahead with the video. I think there must have been some internet connection issues, so we have got her video, so we can get that play over here on the screen.
Yes, sir, we have got. Hello, everybody. Yeah, I'm so happy to be here for Setting the Agenda, Sustainability Education for Green Jobs. My name is Judy Browse, and I'm the Executive Director of the North American Association for Environmental Education, and we are also the Secretariat for the Global Environmental Education Partnership. And I'll tell you more about that in a minute. And it's just really great to be here representing NAAEE and the GEEB for this international conference on sustainability education. Thanks to everyone who made this possible. It sounds like an amazing gathering, and I wish I was there in person. And a big thank you to Dr. Bouge and Kartikeya for all they've done to make this a reality. In looking at the agenda, you're actually covering so many important topics, and I truly hope that you make a lot of progress in discussing the role of education in addressing so many of the critical issues we face. And in my short time today, I wanted to talk just a little bit about who NAAEE and the GEEP are all about, and then a few thoughts on kind of the education piece of building careers for a blue and green economy. And I know there's a lot of thinking and a lot of discussion about how we can do a better job of preparing not only our young people, but society as a whole. And we know that the world is changing so fast, and it's super hard to keep track and to think about how do we change what we're doing in education to create learners who are ready to tackle this green and blue economy. And so what is the most important thing we can think about as our work in education that's going to help build careers, and think about what are the skills that we need, and then what type of global citizenry are we hoping to nurture with our work in education? And many would say we need to scale up, we need to think differently, and I hope this gathering really digs into some of the tough issues. But I do think that environmental and sustainability education have so much to offer when it comes to helping to close the gap between what the workforce needs and the skills and the talent and our educational systems. And I'm going to probably interchange environmental education and sustainability education because we're all trying to create a better world that is more just and more sustainable. And we have known for so long that we need to develop 21st century skills, and environmental education has been working on that for many years. And study after study does show that environmental education is valuable in advancing the skills we need. And I'll talk more about the skills for a green and blue economy. But we're really realizing how important the technical skills are in the knowledge, but also the softer skills. In terms of what we're doing for a future workforce. And surveys also show that students want to learn about sustainability and they want to have the knowledge and skills to address these big challenges in society. And our challenge is, how do we do a better job of integrating EE and sustainability into education systems and growing these careers? The other thing I wanted to just say is that it's important as we think about a transition to a green and blue economy, how do we make it a just transition so that we don't leave people behind? And to think about what is our role in education. And again, I'll talk more about the softer skills, but these are critical to creating the type of employees, the type of citizens that we want in the future. So just a little bit about how I got here. I have been in the field of education and conservation for a long time, always looking at how education can advance our work, and have been working in conservation and leadership, strategy, policy. I've had such wonderful jobs, and I have learned so much along the way. And in the time I've been in this field, I have seen such big changes, going from individual action to collective action, thinking about career development, thinking about a blue and green economy. And we have to adapt as educators as we look ahead. So I'll go quickly about NAAE and the JEEP and then dig into a couple of resources that might be helpful as you all discuss the green and blue economy. So for those of you who don't know us, NAAE is the professional association. We're the champion. We like to say we're a backbone organization for the field of environmental ed. And I know many of you in the audience, and I'm so in awe of all of what you are doing. And we work with educators like all of you, both throughout North America and around the world. And our mission is using the power of education to advance environmental literacy and civic engagement to create this better future. And we'd like to talk about, we're building the environmental problem solvers of the future. We're looking at how do we create positive change individually and collectively, and looking at behavior change. People are doing things a certain way because it's benefiting them. How do we deal with individual and collective behavior change to create this better world? And of course, everything we do is grounded in sustainability, that you can't talk about environmental integrity without talking about social equity, community well-being, and shared prosperity. And then we're also looking at how we create a more equitable and inclusive, in my case, organization, but also field and environmental movement. All of that is so important. And partnerships are truly key. We cannot do this work alone. We have to work with others, and we have to work with partners we normally don't work with. So we need more collaboration, less competition as we work to address the issues. And so I look at environmental and sustainability education as critical tools in our toolbox to address the challenges. Not the only tools, but the tools that are really critical, especially when used in conjunction with science, policy, and other social strategies. And our tagline is, what is the education we need for the world we want? And we truly try to think about what is it we should be doing now that will help us move forward. And it might be very different than what we've done in the past. And NAAE is a network of networks. And I'll just talk about the JEEP, but you can go to our website and find out more about NAAE. So the JEEP is the Global Environmental Education Partnership. And again, NAAE is the secretariat. We've been around for 11 years trying to strengthen environmental education globally. And we do that by sharing best practice and effective practice across borders, trying to create an opportunity for people to think creatively about what we need to do together. And it is a partnership program with the Ministry of Environment in Taiwan, US EPA, and NAAEE, and a host of other partners doing incredible work around the world. And we're trying to spark collaboration as we share learning. And what does effective practice look like? How do we scale what we're doing? And it's been a really wonderful opportunity to be in a room and to be with colleagues that are trying to address the same issues we are, just like all of you are, and how education can actually address all of the Sustainable Development Goals, not just number 4. And we've had such incredible thinking, like Kartikeya has been part of the Jeep since the beginning, and he'll be talking more about his network and how that is connected to the Jeep later in the conference. And the Jeep delegates come together periodically as we dig into what can we do to move this field forward. So you can go to thejeep.org and find out more. So I just wanted to quickly talk about a few ideas and resources that might be helpful to your discussions. And a number of these were developed in the US, and so take that with a grain of salt, but some really good thinking. So last year there was a meeting to talk about meeting the demand for green and blue economy jobs, and the proceedings came out this year, and the questions they were trying to ask are our young people prepared for the future of work? What are the skills and knowledge employees and the planet need? And then how do we build collective momentum to meet the need to fill the rapidly growing jobs in the green and blue economy? So they're doing a lot of the discussion that you are having as well, and we all need to think about this because, as I mentioned, the world is changing. We have AI, we have new technologies, we have new products. How are we preparing not only our young people, but society as a whole to tackle these issues? And then what type of partnerships among educators and industry already exist? What can we learn from them? And what are the case studies and the examples that can help show us a creative path forward? So one example is the Harbor School in New York City, where they're helping to prepare students for the green and blue economy and sustainability in the marine sector. And they have students that are doing all kinds of things in career and technical education. They're part of the Billion Oyster Project to restore oyster reefs to the New York Harbor. And the interest is growing. I mean, it's doubling and tripling. Because of what they're doing, it's really critical skill building, knowledge building, and helping to prepare students for the future. So at the end of that conference, there were a number of kind of findings about what needs to happen, like more mentorships and apprenticeships, and more mentoring networks and regional workforce development programs, certification and accreditation programs, and K through 12 apprenticeship programs. So lots came out of those proceedings, lots of great people were there. And then another thing that came out this year, it's the Transformative Skill Guide, expanding the definition of climate literacy. So a lot of people have been working, of course, on climate literacy, and a lot of what is in this skill guide is perfect for any issue that you're dealing with, but it's focusing on the inner skills, those qualities and capacities that we need to do things differently and be transformative in how we shift the way we think and do. And so this QR code can get you to that, and I'll have another QR code that gets it to you in another way. So we need the practical and technical skills, no question about that. But we also need these, what they're calling foundational inner skills. So we not only need to know how to install offshore wind farms and grow oysters and interpret data, but we also need to have those skills that help us with critical thinking, courage, empathy, and I'll talk more about that in just a second here. So there are 23 inner skills that they have highlighted that are helpful for collective action to reduce environmental harm and adapt to a changing climate. And they are skills like complexity and awareness, appreciation, and creativity. And you can find out more about these. But again, it's not just for students, it's also for all of society. So they're broken down into 5 clumps: being, thinking, relating in the world, collaborating, and acting. And you'll see when you go to that document that there's individual self skills, and then there's others, collaborating, acting, thinking, being, relating. So a lot of good information explaining what they're talking about with each of these skills. But if you just think about relating, the self and others, it's things like appreciation, connectedness, humility, empathy, and compassion. So important. And I also wanted to just highlight the work of Christina Kwok, who's just such a wonderful thinker. She's done a lot on 21st century learning skills and green skills for the future, and also really thinking about that equity issue. So I encourage you to look her up and the work that she's doing. She published something several years ago about a new green learning agenda, and she's just terrific. And we do need to work more closely with career and technical education. And think about all the leadership programs that we have. Are we building these skills in not only students, but also educators and all the other people that we work with in our field? So these are not just nice to have skills, these are absolutely essential tools that empower individuals to create positive change. And finally, I just wanted to mention another resource here that is collecting information that sometimes might have been taken down by certain sites so it can all be in one place. And you can get to this site with this QR code. And there are resources that might be of use as you're thinking about how do we develop careers, the career pathway, and building on all of the career work that we have done in this field, how do we think about it maybe a little bit differently? So you'll find climate literacy principles that were developed last year, the transformational skill guide that I mentioned, the work that we did on educating for climate action and justice, guidelines for excellence is in there, along with a number of other things that might be really helpful in the work that all of you are doing. Again, even though it's with a US audience in some cases or North American, it might be really helpful. So given the urgency of the issues that we are facing, we need every person, every community, every organization to take action. And it's also important to think about this as the whole of society, not just young people. I want the people running companies, running businesses, running everything, our healthcare systems around the world, to understand sustainability skills and what that means. So just a few last words about environmental and sustainability education. And I love this quote, and I've shared it before, of what is it that we need to do to move our work ahead? What are some really creative, innovative things that can scale what we do? And I know a lot of people are not hopeful about the future. It is definitely a tough time. There are growing human and environmental challenges that you all will be talking about in your sessions. And it's sometimes really, really, really difficult to say, we can do this, education can really help. And it really can get discouraging. And I know that many of you are probably facing this, and many of your educators and students and others in society are wondering, can we tackle this? And I think we can. And I think education brings the hope that can help us tackle the tough stuff. Educators really do help people navigate these issues, provide the tools and the know-how to respond. And I'm just so thankful for all of you who are there trying to tackle these career issues. And I believe EE is a critical tool in our toolbox to address the environmental, the social, and the economic issues we face. So I hope you get a lot of epiphanies this week as you're digging into these issues. I really hope it's fruitful. I look forward to finding out what you learn, what you accomplish, and what the next steps are. And I want to also invite you to our virtual conference in November. You are welcome to attend. Just let me know if you need any financial assistance. It's pretty cheap and we have a sliding scale, but we'd love to have your insights. So thank you all so much. Feel free to reach out to me anytime. And I truly, truly hope you have a wonderful conference. Thank you so much.
So that was Judy Brass, and now we have very distinguished panel. I will very briefly, of course, in souvenir volume you can find CVs, brief bios of each of them. But very briefly, let me introduce Mr. Sunil Jain, who is Chairman, Skill Council for Green Jobs. He has over 3 decades of experience across industries including renewable energy, automotive infrastructure, manufacturing and clean tech. He specializes in creating new businesses and taking the startups to scale. He has been credited for incubation of 2 very successful IPPs, Hero Futures Energies, for which he was the CEO and ED, which is one of India's leading renewable energy companies with a portfolio of almost 2 gigawatt. He has played very important roles in many startups and renewable energy industry scenarios. Welcome Mr. Jain. Then we have Dr. Prithvi Yadav. He is Vice Chancellor and President of Sir Padampat Singhania University. He has been in leadership positions in IITs, IIM, Symbiosis and NMIMS, and he pioneered the first skill university in the country, and that demonstrates his commitment to skill-based education, higher learning. So welcome you, sir. Mr. Alan Egbert, he is the CEO of World Class Learning System Dubai, and he was earlier for almost 2 decades with Australian Council of Education Research. He has around 35 years of experience in the education, and I think in his new role as World Class Learning System, he will bring new insight to this gathering. Dr. Joseph Sapienza, he is a higher education expert with over 20 years of experience spanning Italy, UK, China, Cambodia, Vietnam, Mongolia, Uzbekistan, many more countries. He has a role of Vice Rector of international institutions in many countries, and he has dedicated his career in advancing academic excellence, supporting student success and driving institutional growth. So welcome to you, Mr. Sapienza. So gentlemen, we have very little time, and there are very pointed questions. Question number 1 is, please share your perspective and expertise on the theme that is sustainability education for green jobs. You have then a follow-up questions, but this question very brief, 3 minutes each. So shall we begin with Professor Prithvi Yadav? You can use the mic there.
Thank you, Dr. Rambhuj. Let me start my story. A management expert, pure management expert, working in different universities, institutions, and then got the opportunity to be associated with Mobius Foundation. This is the 3rd conference I am attending, and the advantage of these 3 conferences have tremendous impact on me, and today the story, the experience I am going to share, the university which I belong, that is from the South Rajasthan, Sir Padampat Singhania University, traditional university, right from 2008. But the experience, the momentum, and the impulse I got being associated with these 3 conferences of this Mobius Foundation, I proudly announce today that the SPSU University last 2 years effort this sincere effort we started, we have transformed into a sustainable university. And it's not only the one aspect of this sustainability, but it's a overall concept of the bringing sustainability in the university. We are the residential university in housing around 1,500 students in the campus. So we were struggling with the kitchen waste. We were struggling with the waste in the mess. And it's a live example here that the processes we started since last 2 years and the kind of the waste we used to have in our mess, 100 kg per day, we have brought down to around 75 kg per day. The kitchen waste we have reduced significantly and we have brought in to 15 kg per day. At the same time, we have installed the biogas plant in the university, and through biogas plant, we are saving 3 to 4 cylinders per month and saving around the 50,000 rupees on gas. And we have also started producing the kitchen garden in the campus and producing around the 670 kgs of the organic wheat, around 350 kgs of mustard, and saving around the 4 lakhs rupees per year towards these expenses. At the same time, the solar plant we have installed in the campus with the maximum capacity allowable in the university as per the Rajasthan government, and we are saving around 30 lakhs per year the cost of in the electricity in the campus. Plus whole lot of other measures we have taken, and the last year under the mentorship of Dr. Rajendra Singh and Dr. Ram Bhuj, we install the rainwater harvesting in the campus, and we are harvesting around 1.5 million liter of the rainwater in the campus itself and recycling those rainwater harvesting in the university. So these are the initiative bringing the university as a sustainable measures. Purely the effort since last 2 years towards the, just 1 minute.
Yeah.
And towards the education, we have launched the 2 programs very innovatively, and again in those 2 programs, the enormous the support I have received from Dr. Rajendra Singh and Dr. Ram Bhuj. The one program is UG program, that is the BSc Applied Sciences, specialization in sustainability management. The other program we have launched, the MBA in sustainability management. That's a purely integrated program, multidisciplinary program, and these have been designed in a way that around 40% is the management concepts, 60% is the sustainability and environmental concepts. So through these measures, we have transformed a traditional university into the sustainable university. And this is the advantage I have got it for being associated with this conference since last 3 years. And this is the story. I'm sure that all these young kids who are here, that can be aspirational for them. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Transforming university, traditional university into a sustainability university is a huge task, and I think you deserve a great applause from the audience. Mr. Sunil Jain, I think you are leading the Skill Council for Green Jobs, Government of India's premier body for skilling for green jobs. So we would like to hear from you.
Good afternoon. So good to see some young faces in this audience. I don't know how many of you know about Mahabharata. We are talking of sustainable education. So how do you start? In Mahabharata, it is said that Abhimanyu learned how to enter the Chakravyuh in the womb of his mother, Subhadra. So can you believe it that the child started learning in the womb of the mother? Unfortunately, her mother slept, and the second half of how to exit, he did not learn. In Gita, Arjun continued to impart education and thoughts to, Krishna to Arjun, and that was also a learning process. Well, for a sustainable education on green economy, why I'm trying to correlate, you have to start educating the child from the time he starts going to school. I think so that is the key to things. When I have been to a school in China, and a 4-year-old kid does so many things which 8-year-old kid in India does not do in school. And there I realized that why they are trying to be innovative, they know what to do, their children are getting more and more disciplined, because the education starts from there. So you have to start telling your children how to segregate waste, how not to use your air conditioning every time, because I don't know how many of you know in this hall that you would have 250 million air conditioners in India in next 7 years. And while you are cooling inside, you're heating outside, and that's your problem. So you have to tell your children today. The sustainable education will start from the school level, and therefore the skilling also must start at least from the class 10th, which the current NEP curriculum and policy provides for, not adopted by schools. I run an after school with my wife. We teach underprivileged children who after school we teach them, because the school level education is not up to the mark. And believe me, 90% of the students don't know what a solar panel is, what a wind turbine is, what is a organic and an inorganic waste. Well, you may have those private elite schools which teach everything, but then that is not what comprises of India. And that is true actually for world. You may go and ask an American student, a normal general American student, he would not know it. I'm telling you. I've been to US, you tell him November 24th and he will say, tell me November is which month? He doesn't know it's 11th. So, you have to change your curriculum to a more practical oriented education system. All schools must have small prototype labs which should at least tell them how things work. I'm not saying that he's going to design that system. Just show him what is a solar panel. A size of this can be shown to him in a solar panel. Or have a video which can be circulated to all the schools in the country to be more cost effective. Sustainable education starts from within. Just teaching won't help. You need a practical education so that you start learning from the time you are in school. Like we had a very successful campaign, ban crackers, say no to crackers. Why can't we have similar campaigns for green energy, sustainable education? Say no to plastic, agri-waste. We are not educating our farmers. When you talk of sustainable education, it is not all about energy. It's about water, it is about oil and gas, it is about the crops. I don't know how many of you know, we humans are the biggest emitter of greenhouse gas emissions. We are responsible for it. Energy accounts for only 8%. So, from my side, the way for sustainable for green jobs starts from the school to the universities, which will upgrade them or upgrade their knowledge from school to college. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jain. I think well said. Skilling and environment sustainability has to begin from the school, from early childhood rather. All those skills, attitudes and knowledge, everything has to be inculcated. So let me go to straightway to my good friend Alan. Oh, yes, we all are. So, yeah, your take on this.
Thank you so much, Ram. It's an absolute pleasure to be here once again, and thank you for having me. I think one of the key words today that we've heard repeated is the word urgency. And that has been echoed in different contexts, in different scenarios. We all probably are in agreement that there is this urgency. When we look at the topic today, when we talk about what sorts of green jobs are we looking at, you know, the purpose of every education system should have the student at their heart. You will agree to that. The purpose of every education system is to be able to prepare students who will be able to thrive and be successful and contribute to society in a really constructive, positive manner. When I was thinking about this, I thought about, obviously, you know, a big buzzword that has been thrown around now for the past 2 decades, which was 21st century skills. You know, I started thinking, actually, when was this coined, 21st century skills? And it wasn't really coined all that long way back. It sort of came about in the 90s, where we started thinking, what would be skills that we would need for the next century? And we coined this term called 21st century skills: critical thinking, problem solving, creativity, collaboration. All of these were seen as really valuable skills. But somehow, we missed the boat in including sustainability as a skill. What we are looking at now is sustainability as an essential skill, not just a skill. However, when we look at the current education systems, there was a survey run by UNESCO not very long ago. This is just 2021, where they surveyed 100 education curriculums. And they found that more than 70% did not even mention climate literacy or climate change as one of their core objectives. There was another similar survey by UNESCO where they surveyed young people, and 70% of the people they surveyed, young people that they surveyed, felt that they were not really prepared or did not have a proper understanding of what sustainability is. You know, what is the skill that we are looking at? We didn't learn that sort of skill in school. Teachers in education systems struggle still to actually embed 21st century skills within their classroom practice, within their pedagogy, within their delivery of the curriculum. They have not yet even started thinking about how do we start to embed an environmental literacy framework within the existing curriculum, and how can we integrate that within the existing curriculum in such a way that that becomes the emphasis, not a side option, but the emphasis. And that's what we are looking at doing. There's been now a growing focus. Some of you may have heard of the TIMSS study. TIMSS is the Trends in International Mathematics and Science study. In the 2023 cycle of TIMSS, by the way, it's the largest and longest international survey of mathematics and science in the world. More than 70, 80 countries participate in it. It's at grade 4 and grade 8, and it has a curriculum focus. For the 23 cycle, they also included an environmental literacy scale. And some of those results are quite alarming, because at grade 4 and at grade 8 level, almost 40 to 50% of the students cannot respond or answer simple questions on environmental literacy. So the focus here has to go back to education. If we are not going to equip our students with the right skill set for them to be successful in the jobs that they're going to take on, which we're talking about green jobs, then there is very little scope for them to actually be successful at a green job. And when we start talking about green jobs, we're talking about jobs across the board, whether it's the environment or health or architecture or education, energy industries, across the board, there will be green jobs. When we talk about the economy, and you would have heard the term donut economy and sustainable economies and circular economies, we have to be able to embed that within the school context, within the frame of a sustainability concept. And that's when students would start to move towards it. I want to end on a positive note. Now, for example, in India, with the NEP and with the new curriculum, with the NCERT, they have included many references to climate change, for example. But that's only about 35 to 40% of the countries who have done it. The UN has come up with the Greening Education Partnership, where they've come out with clear guidelines on greening the curriculum. We need to start looking at how we adopt and adapt that to our contexts. And at the face of it, it's actually quite simple. When we talk about green schools, I want to relate it to what green competencies we are developing. We're looking at leadership, governance, how schools are conceived, how schools themselves are going to become zero carbon footprint places which students can then learn from. To looking at the curriculum, how do we start to integrate that? To looking at action-oriented learning, where students begin to take agency of what they learn. And that's when they would actually learn best and develop all of those skills that we've been talking about. And finally, teachers would need to be equipped and trained. And there's a huge impetus here on how do we build capacity for teachers, not to overload them even more because they've been overloaded to the limit, AI education, this, that, and the other. We have to be smart in terms of reducing their workload, but increasing their output with that focus on sustainability. I do want to end on a positive note. We do have a long heritage of being, climate and environment crusaders, whether it was the Chipko movement, where one of my colleagues was talking about it yesterday, where we were embracing trees, or a whole host of others. This was happening 50 years ago. We have to start building that passion within the classroom once again. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alan. Passion is what we all want. So, to you, Sapienza, Joseph, very brief.
Thank you. Yeah, I have 3 minutes. I'll try to say 3 things. The first one is about the concept of integrating sustainability in our general framework. I think that maybe we should also consider the general framework. I'll give you an example. If I'm transporting, let's say, 20 tons of oil and I have an accident, I spill all of them, and there will be a disaster, and then there will be consultants and lawyers, and there will be companies that try to fix the problem, and there will be insurance. Now, all these disasters for the GDP consideration is positive. It will be an increase in GDP. This means that when we talk about sustainability, we have also to consider that all this is part of a system in which bad things and good things are accounted as kind of the same. So this is, I think, the first thing that we should consider. The second is maybe a concern. I think green thinking is also partially a fashion. It was, at least lately. And in my humble opinion, it was also a matter of trying to intervene in the turnover of industrial production. So for big companies, instead of changing their production system to a more ecological system at their own expenses, they were trying to get funds through taxpayers. And the reason why I see a problem here is that I have the impression that now this is shifting to maybe a war economy. Now companies that were trying to become green now are trying to become weapons industry. I see this especially in Europe. This is our second big concern. So maybe in the near future we will have less funds for these kind of events, these kind of projects. This is my second minute. My third minute is about maybe a positive project. It's for many years I tried to suggest this idea of biodesign university. I think the way we understand education is a little a mirror of the way we understand society in general. So if you go to a conference room of any university, they are designed more or less like this. And as you can see here, we are all inside, surrounded by plastic and iron and all this beautiful material. And instead outside, there are the trees. So we have a wall from where we study and where we put nature. There's another wall which is between where we want to learn and where we want just to spend time. So even inside the university, we have rooms in which you learn and corridors in which you do nothing. You just move from one place to another one. And this is something that we have also in our cities. There are places in which there's production and places where you have consumption. So this maybe capitalistic understanding of the way we design space is also mirrored in our university, in our schools. For example, we don't conceive the idea to study outside and inside and having all these distributed. So this biodesign style is an architectural style, is proved to be beneficial for people. So there are studies according to which if you stay in an environment surrounded by nature, and for example, you break your bones, you recover faster in this kind of environment. There are also studies that prove that you learn faster. So the environment that we design, I think, is not only ugly somehow, is also, how can I say, not optimal for learning. So this is something that, for example, an organization like Mobius could promote, like a project to turn many organizations, universities, schools, into environment in which you study in contact with nature and you don't separate human from nature. This is an idea of 300 years old that still is in our mind. So that was my third idea, and I spare you all the rest. Thank you.
Thank you, Joseph. And really, we do not have time, but I would like your concluding one-liner thought, recommendation or thought. I think we can begin with you, Joseph, again.
Okay. So one recommendation. Well, recommendation is what I was saying, more or less. We should reconsider the system. We cannot just take apart and thinking that suggesting students to study or to embody the idea of sustainability is enough. I'll give you this example. Education is actually something that usually is used in favor of someone. The concept of quality of education, according to many scholars, is something that was designed in the US in order to have an advantage in terms of real estate, because what is considered quality, which is the schools full of sport facilities and canteens, is very expensive and increase the cost of education. Many schools just collapse, and real estate industry was able to take over. So, there are many examples in the history of education about things like this. So when we say that we should produce students for the green industry, we have also to consider who is thinking about green industry, and if it's right for us just to think about giving them workforce, or even maybe more cheap workforce. So I think education, and in general the environment of universities and policymakers, should think about the big pictures. Many board of universities and schools now are made by company owners. And
10 lines.
Yeah, so thank you.
Okay, Alan.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ram. I think teachers are the true agents of change in the classroom, and just policy is not enough. There needs to be concerted effort made in terms of professional development and teacher training to build competencies within teachers to deliver a green curriculum. And I feel that would make a huge difference. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Jain.
So in the past century, India went through the livelihoods. We were more bothered about our livelihoods. This century it is changing to lives and livelihood. So we need a policy right from starting to tell the people that your lives depend on greening this planet. And that should be a part of the curriculum. Even if you need an exam for it, have an exam for it. If that one chapter is required in the NCERT books have to change, well, it has to change. It has to be mandatory for everybody to learn a chapter on climate change. Another thing which is very important and which needs to be done at the government level is train the trainers. I think so we are woefully short of trainers, and so even if you have to inculcate skills on green jobs, we don't have the trainers. So these are my two recommendations.
Thank you.
Based on the 2 years journey on the sustainable management in the campus, I would like to appeal to all of us, since it's an unending journey. So the commitment has to be to start the journey and see the impact, see the journey path, and realizes that how much we have proceeded further and how much is remain to be achieved. So that's my two commitments. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
So big hand to all the panelists.
Yeah, sure.
Over to you.
Thank you so much, sir. And my dear friends, since the panelists are here, I would like to request Shri Praveen Garg, sir, to please come on the stage and felicitate all the dignitaries over here. So let's have a round of applause for all the eminent panelists over here.
Because you have discussed about so much about education. I am from NCERT New Delhi. I retired from NCERT.
Maybe have the mic over there.
Ajay, let's take that question.
Only one question we'll have, yeah. Yeah, sure.
At least some information because
Ma'am, mic is coming to you, ma'am. That would be easy for everyone to understand.
So my name is Professor Saroj Yadav. I retired from NCERT very recently. And sir, you said that nothing is there in the curriculum. I think most of the children are studying NCERT textbooks, and NCERT textbook is being adapted or adopted by about more than 28 states and all the union territories, all the CBSE, all the most of the government schools. So I think the environmental education has been given due importance. If you content analyze the textbook, it is lot has been given, because even the Supreme Court has said that there should be separate module for that, and that is there. And every day there are video programs are going on. You are very right that it has not percolated down into the system as we desired. But there are many schools which they have opened even their kitchen garden, they are planting trees, and a lot of things have been done. So we should not say, even the new education policy has also focused on 26 skills, 21st century skills. So I think the teacher training program definitely needed, it is being going on, but we should not say that education has not done it. And now the curriculum is not only for the school at the higher level, but it is from the foundational stage. So thank you very much. I think I have clarified that.
Thank you so much. And I'm also from the administrative service. I fully endorse what you're saying. After MC Mehta case of 1994, NCERT books are the best books on environmental sciences. Probably many people have not read those books, so they're little ignorant about it. So I fully endorse what you're saying.
Thank you so much, sir. And now we would like to felicitate our panelists. So I request Mr. Garg to firstly please present this memento to Professor Prithvi Yadav, President and Vice Chancellor, Sir Padampat Singhania University, Udaipur, Rajasthan. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us over here in this international conference. Now here is a felicitation to Mr. Sunil Jain, Chairman, Skill Council for Green Jobs, MSDE, India. I request Garg sir to please felicitate Mr. Alan Egbert, CEO, World Class Learning Systems, Dubai.
Thank you so much. Thanks for making it. Thank you.
We also present our gratitude in the form of memento to Dr. Joseph Spenzia, Higher Education Leader and Keynote Speaker, Italy.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. May we please have a photo up, a photograph all together, all the panelists, the moderator, chair. Let's have a photo up, and then we are gonna invite our panelists for plenary 2. Let's hear it for all of them, my dear friends. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, dignitaries. And now for this plenary 2, let me please share with you that in this we are going to discuss about vision to action. Yes, from vision to action, what all we need to do. Cultivating a world ready for green jobs and entrepreneurship. So this is going to be really interesting. And I would, before I invite all the panelists over here on the stage,